I've not spoken, I've texted Stacy Callahan with what we discussed on our at our last session about notifying running the ad. I asked her to run the ad for 2 months aggressively in all the markets that she usually uses, as well as start looking at different personnel agencies, headhunters, et cetera. And when she speaks to them, come back to us with the fees that they would charge for their services. Now, usually I believe it's 10% of the entire package, but we'll see where that goes. I had touched base with Mike probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago and opened the discussion about maybe bringing on as a contract override a project manager where Dave is part-time, doing work in 2 jobs, someone to really coordinate all the activities at the sewer department and keep everyone, stay on top of everything to make sure dates are being met, that we're not going to miss anything. Mike, have I missed anything yet in those conversations? Or
that's it.
You had some input on that, and I'd like to hear where you're coming from now after our past discussions.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke a couple times about it. You were talking about possibly like 15 to 20 hours a week, basically to oversee the administrative order and the judicial order.
That and basically oversee all the projects we have ongoing, coordinate, right, if you would.
Yeah, to be coordinating, but for a max of like 20 hours per week, and kind of get somebody in there to take a good look and bring back what is going to be actually needed in the future for the project, for a full-time superintendent for the collection system.
Right.
It kind of help in creating the, I don't know if you want to call it job description, but the job duties, et cetera, for that. So that's something we can provide. I don't have anything to show you, unfortunately, right now. I was kind of short notice. I apologize. I should, but that's it kind of in a nutshell. We do have a couple people that are available to come over and take a look at this, and then bull by the horn, so to speak, and kind of run with it and track everything, get everything in order, get reports, either weekly reports to you, get some feedback, kind of go from there. So, and that would be for like,
as far as the updates and reporting, it can just be a matter of an email, just a quick check here where we are, milestone chart if you want. I don't, however it's done.
Yeah.
Sherry, have you any input that you want to add, or?
So this, are we talking about encompassing all the various projects that are going on at the plant, at the facilities?
Yeah, it's just a general keeping tabs on where they are, a checklist, if you would.
Yep. And this was for temporary, ongoing. What was the time frame?
What I would like to do, and what I was talking to Mike about, let's do it for a 6-month time frame.
Okay.
Start with that.
And at the end of the 6 months, would we anticipate having some kind of a structure that you could hand over to us so that we can continue the process?
We would, yeah, we would build. Yep, definitely put something together for you. That's the idea. Yep.
Great.
And I would say, like, before that 6 month is up, we could have of course, have this project manager and give us an update at the monthly meetings, and maybe set aside every other month or so, or however we want to work it. Maybe just like I said, email communication for now, but I see like at least 15 to 20 hours hands-on, get a good feel for the operation. Participate in all the communications that are going on and really get a good feel for it.
Would this person be available to join our meetings in person if we wanted to have a conversation? Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
What would be, when you said you had a couple of people in mind offhand, what are their qualifications?
Well, they vary. They're in the wastewater industry, collection systems, et cetera. One is administrative, basically overseeing larger projects, the finances, et cetera, things like that, tracking data, ordering the chemicals, making sure everything's lined up and reports are being submitted on time, things like that. We have collection system experts, if you want to call it, that have worked in collection systems in various cities and towns across the country. putting together programs, running systems. So we do have quite a bit of expertise in the field. Some of them are not, one lives in actually two live in Massachusetts, and one lives out in the Midwest, but he is in this area frequently. He kind of does stuff for the whole company. With
Well, the one that let's take the one from the Midwest out of the picture for now.
Yeah.
The one that's in Massachusetts, would they be available 15 hours a week?
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Is the person that's in Massachusetts the collection system person or the ad?
They are operations of a wastewater plant. They do have familiarity with collection systems and what you're looking for. Yeah.
But either one of the things that made me think of this or go this route was that you have the assets to draw on from Veolia. You have engineering support, other if they had to inquire about something, is that added costs?
No, we would bring the person like the person out of the Midwest. He would provide support because he has all the expertise in the industry. If there was anything, bounce some ideas off him. But what you'd be paying for is the on-site person for the 15 to 20 hours per week. And we would have to draw, probably an amendment to the contract, an add-on or something. The basic legal stuff.
What I would like to do, as far as let's get on to that, is maybe draw up something like I'd like to do it as an add-on for 6 months. You could draw it up, send it to us for review, and then would send it to legal counsel, of course, to review that.
Yep.
Why don't I
go ahead. Sorry.
Do we have an idea of what the time constraints would be on our current interim superintendent? Because the idea is to lighten the load.
Who are you asking that to, Sherry?
Mr. Burke? How much, what involvement is our interim superintendent going to need to be involved to get this up and running?
You're the one that you currently have. I'm misunderstanding the question. The one that you currently have on site?
Yes.
I would say heavily.
Yeah,
for the beginning, very heavily.
To basic probably for a few weeks to show, not even a few weeks, just to show the intricacies of what's going on in the system. Kind of say and hand everything off. Say, here you go. And then they obviously be available to bounce questions off, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to keep. I don't want Rick. I want Rick to be, involved and know what's going on, but I don't want him focusing on this.
No. We're not talking about Rick. I'm talking about Mr. Taylor.
No.
Superintendent. I want him involved in it.
Oh yeah.
To bring this person up to speed and help lighten his workload.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's something we can do. I can have something drawn up probably by the beginning of next week. Heading out, traveling for a few days, but I'll pass this off to our legal to put something together. I'll share all the information with them, and we can then include hourly rates and things like that. What's needed. Excuse me.
Dan, do you have any questions?
No.
Dave?
No.
What as far as staffing down there?
Yeah.
Losing Ed hurt quite a bit, and Dan. Now, as far as I know, we have, and Dave refreshed me, I think we have 2 trainees, a part-timer. So we have 7 full-time now and 1 part-timer?
He's looking right now to get 1 more, and then they're at full capacity, but they do have somebody on part-time status making up for that right now. So they seem to be getting everything moving along.
But is there any of these part-time or any of these newbies, if you want to call them that, licensed?
I think Rick hired one that was licensed. He's a 2, and then the new one that they hired him more for his mechanical skills because they needed somebody could turn a wrench or use a tool. So
but we can get him covered under the operator in training. So that's
So I think from what I understand, and you'd have to talk to Rick more. But I think they're looking to get one more operator, so.
That's true. Yep, you're right.
As long as he can get someone to help him out mechanically, that'll be a plus.
Yeah, definitely.
Mike, do you have any more questions?
I do not. If anything comes up in the meantime, when I'm speaking with other folks in the company, I will reach out to you.
Okay, what I will do is I will send you, if you could put something together down in paper.
Yeah.
Especially if you could, cost, which I'm sure we'll negotiate shrewdly on. But, just keep in mind when you're coming up with the cost that losing Ed did hurt. And like I said, I wish him the best. You got a jewel there. You got an absolute gift.
Oh yeah, noticed that from day one.
If you could get something to me, let's say by Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, that'd be great. And
Yeah.
I'll send
I think
them on to Dan, Sherry, and Dave for review. Once we get our comments down on it and we come to some agreement, we'll get back to you and then ship it off to council to give their blessing or their comments and let the attorneys haggle it out. But in the interim, let me see. This is August 2nd. Is this the 2nd? Yeah, 2nd.
Yeah.
Sherry, you're out the week of the 8th?
That's correct. I'm out of town, but I can be available by Zoom.
Excuse me?
I'm out of town, but I can make myself available for a Zoom meeting.
I'll tell you what, Mike, how's this? Can you get that to us? When do you think comfortably you can get something to us in paper? Monday the 8th or Tuesday the 9th?
It would be Tuesday.
I would say Tuesday the 9th to give yourself some leeway, less strain on the old heart.
Yeah, I don't want to overwork that.
No. Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's do the 9th for us to review. I'll schedule a working session Zoom meeting for the 11th. Sherry, is that okay?
Yes.
Thursday the 11th. Mike, can you make that?
I will. I can't promise, but I will try my best and I will get back to you and let you know if it doesn't work. If you don't hear from me, it's
I'll tell you what, I'll give you the 10th or the 11th. You work out which date is most convenient. We'll do a Zoom meeting and you
We'll shoot
give
for
me
the
the time.
shoot for the 11th for now.
Shoot for the 11th. It'll be a
Yep.
Zoom meeting and I'll wait to hear from you for the time that's convenient for you.
Okay. Sounds good.
Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Mike, I want to thank you very much for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Looking forward to hearing from something from you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks. Nice meeting you all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
EPA order update. We're trying to meet the deadline for the 1st. We don't know where that stands right now. Dave, did you get any more update on that or?
From which matter? Are you
If
talking
they
about
got the
August
extension.
1st or September 1st?
August 1st.
Yeah, we just sent in, they reached out and wanted a summary on the plan and scheduling for that 67.5 and sent it over, regarding that we did get we got a quote from AECom, so we did get a price on that, and that we were looking to get Weston and Sampson should be in the end of this week, beginning of next week. I reached out to them about 6 weeks ago, so roughly takes about
What's
30.
Weston and Sampson going to do?
The same proposal, like what AECom, to put a bid doc together. So,
Okay, this is, I guess, where my confusion is. I thought we were going to try to do that in-house.
well, I could do
Is
the
it a
bid
matter
doc.
of your time or is it a matter of the level of technicality?
Well, yeah, it's because they have to, it's not, so this is engineering, so they have to, in order to put it out, they have to spec it using AEComs, identify all the areas, plan, define the limits, oversee, then whoever the engineering company is has to warranty the backside inspections, and then follow on up with like all the quantifying, and then they can plan in on the bidding process too. We could put all the bidding docs out once that is done.
Okay, that was, I guess, my fair to understand that. I wish we knew that up in the beginning because we could have applied for extension then.
Yeah,
Can we get, I'd like to see even more than Weston Sampson bidding on that. Can you put something out to more people? I'd like to get a wide variety of pricing. And I think the other board members would, how do you feel about that? I don't want to just go to one house. I'd rather see as many people as possible bid on these things, and because we're going to be talking a big number.
This is the bid to create the bid or the actual?
I think
bid
this
to
is what we're
do it?
looking at now is a bid to create the scope of work.
it's a proposal for the scope to oversee the, how it has to be spec'd out, all these areas. So when a contractor is bidding on this work, they'll need to know exactly what they need to do, what the scope is. Everything's already identified by the engineers. Because what happens if you put this out for just a bid, they're gonna tack on engineering costs to get us to this point. So we want to have all this done before it goes out to bid. So when the contractor looks at it, they're bidding on that, not the engineering. And the engineering will be quantified on the back end, and that's what EPA wants to see. They want to see, because if you got 67.5 on infiltration, you're not getting 67.5 back. Because infiltration varies between, 70 to 90% that you can get back. It's not like inflow from a sump pump. A sump pump, you can get 100% back. But infiltration, they have to identify that most likely in the spring when it was identified before. And then hopefully we're up on the high end of that. So, but we need to quantify that. So when you go to EPA, that 67.5, we went after the 67.5, but it may not be a true 67.5 when it's done. It could be like a 5,500 or 5,700, but we did our due diligence. And then like what Chuck understands from that meeting, they want to see the front side, the rehab, and the backside quantification, and then where we're at with that, and then submit, and then obviously they want their quarterly updates as well. So they know where we're at right now. I wait to hear back, and then I'll forward all the correspondence to the commission once we hear back from them on that summary. And I'm working on the September 1st summary, which is the first quarterly one that we have to do. And I'll send that out to the board before it gets sent out.
Wouldn't that first summary, isn't that Rick's? That's internal, isn't it?
What, for the September 1st?
Yeah, isn't that all flows and?
No, it's mostly, it's just, you still have to do the additional I&I. You still have to send out, so that September 1st is kind of a big one. So, because it's gonna have to be, where we are with the CWMP, which we'll have a good read on after today. They can send us over the scope that we have to submit with the EPA. You need to know where we are, like with the GIS, because that's part of the DEP in the semi-annual compliance report. And they need to know where we are at the treatment plant, the NIPD's permit. So the whole thing is a summary where we are with all our engineers, our contractors, where we are, because we are also being audited at the same time right now by EPA on the IPP program, which is the grease trap and, commercial discharges. So we've been working with environmental partners on that to kind of revamp it, because the way we've been doing it is, archaic. So we need to update that with EPA as well. That audit will be third week in August, which we've already got the paperwork going on it. I put together the grease traps, and Rick is helping me with the discharges at some of the larger facilities that I used to walk with John. So there's there's a lot that will have to be in that September 1st one. So.
Okay, getting back to that other scope, my misunderstanding was when I put that other one together, I was hoping that would get one package doing all the engineering and all that in one lump sum, because we're going to pay for the engineering in front or in the back anyway.
Right.
So I wanted to get that done, but what I would like to do, and I'd like to see more than just Weston Sampson bidding on that scope. I'd like to send it out to as many possible as we can to see what we're getting for a price range.
Yeah, we could do that. I mean, it's just time, because I've, you
Yeah.
know, we just got a,
If we're gonna do it, let's get
yeah,
a wide range.
because it took AECom almost 2 months. It's about 5 or 6 weeks with Weston and Sampson. So Weston and Sampson's the top I on the East Coast. AECom's got a good rep, so I could reach out to a couple of the other companies and see if they can give us a proposal on it.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion. We get multiple proposals on getting this scope. Hopefully we get them back. Let's do a cutoff and so we can get this friggin' thing rolling.
This week in October,
I agree.
because we can do
Agree.
manholes over the fall. We can do the pipelining in the winter. And then start quantify it in the spring.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we get multiple quotes from at least 5 parties on this bid. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor, Mr. DeRoss,
yes.
Ms. Valley,
Yes,
and Ms. Ashen, yes, that's unanimous. Whoever does it, whoever does prepare this, make sure they understand that it's a sealed bid. For the hard work, the core work.
Yeah,
All right. With that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Valley on the I&I account update. Sherry, you had some questions at the last meeting. You want to meet with
So,
Dave?
yes, just a second, let me bring up my notes here.
Wait
So I had,
a minute, I lost my pen. I found it.
all right, so I had a great conversation with Dave. Thank you very much. You answered some of my questions. As I looked over what we talked about, of course, it generated more questions, which I sent to you, and we can have a separate conversation. If it's easier to just respond by email, that's entirely up to you. But at our last meeting, there were some questions on if we did in fact have a dedicated I&I account, and Dave has confirmed that is true. We have one account for I&I funds, and we have one account for development funds. And Dave, jump in if I'm misquoting.
no, you're right.
For the I&I funds, I think right now we can confirm we have $200,000 in our budgeted account,
How much?
200,000.
Yep.
It's still there. And we have funds expected from Primrose and Dyer Street. I understand Primrose has paid half of their I&I so far.
Yeah, they paid all the development fees, the tie-in fees. And where the I&I fees went up, they asked to be put on a payment program, so they paid half their I&I fees, so.
And what's the schedule for that payment program?
Every month, first week of every month.
What's their I&I charge?
150.
Yes, total 150.
So
it'd be 150 there. What about Dwyer?
So we're waiting to get the fees for that. They're still still doing site work. So they
What do
haven't
you
started
estimate their fees will be for just I&I?
Well, that one you guys voted on before we switched, so that's a little lower amount.
Yeah.
That was at, I have 95.
What is
roughly.
it?
94, 95,000.
Yeah, Brian, yeah.
I only. Yep.
Dave, if you had to really just, shoot blindly, totally blindly between this bid scope and the I&I work, what do you think we're looking at a package? 300,000, 400?
For that 67.5,
Yep.
yeah, I would say we have enough money right now to cover that. So we have some leftover money from the SSES study that we can use for engineering for I&I, because it's specific to that. We have the 200 in our general budget that we ended up budgeting this year. We have close to 80 left over from an article of last year, so we brought that over. And then you have what you have in the development fee. It's in development account, but at some point, you're gonna have to pull the I&I out of that. That's close to 100 in that development count. So I mean, I hate to put it, but I would say you're probably 3 to 350 to do that 67.5. I mean, if
Well,
I
you're
would-
better than me. I figured 4, to be honest.
yeah, I mean, a lot of that is rehab of manholes, so it's literally, it's all like grinding and remortaring, resealing. So a lot of that is that. And then don't forget, we already did, the big one was over at the school. So once the school is demoed, that's gonna be a big hit right there. That's close to 14, so.
So that school, it's going to be important that we can document that big chunk.
Right. So that'll be spring.
So as long as we can, as long as we do not access the budget, Primrose or Dyer Street funds, we should have enough to cover.
We should, I mean, we have to make sure we have money in our regular I&I budget just for like repairs or blowouts, anything out in the field, infrastructure. So that has to get done automatically. You get sewer manholes that blow out, and then that's I&I, so.
Off the top of my head, just
But if you spend that on, and I understand, yeah, you have to fix these things, but if you spend the budgeted 200,000, then we don't have that to apply to the 67.
But you should still have enough, because you have
What
two
he's saying is we
18
should cover
articles, and you have the money over at the development from the Monahan rink, and you still have Primrose and you have Dyer.
Hey, Dave, off the top of your head, what's going on with 365?
What's 365? Oh, Concord Street?
Southwest Concord, yeah.
I haven't heard anything about it. I know it's on a stall mode right now. So
we can't really count on that right now.
no.
Well,
Or
they
I
were
think you
approved-
said the next one would be 320, I think, right?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was gonna reach back about what coming in next month or this
yeah.
month.
So 365 Concord Street was approved by the Conservation Commission. But we haven't seen anything since they changed their plans.
They haven't presented anything over, because originally it was 40. That was voted, I think it was 2018. And then they went down to 19, and I think they're tweaking that number as well. So it's less than that.
Well, either way, that would be just gravy if we get that for now. I hate to say it's gravy, we're still hurting for it.
Yeah.
While we're on the subject of budget, and I know it's really early yet, but looking at that EPA order, I think, Dave, you better start considering that tertiary system for phosphorus.
Right.
And I would look at probably 500,000 for that. That's one we gotta hit.
Yeah.
But anything else, Sherry and I, what there was what was the one we were looking at for 160? I forget. Well, you're in top of it anyway. No, I can't find
It might have,
some reason 160. From some other project that should have went to I&I. We had a discussion.
so we were talking about the article that was passed to fund the boiler, which was then reassigned for I&I funding. But those funds, jump in, Dave, if you need to, those funds are going to be reimbursed by ARPA. I believe we are still waiting for some bills for the completion of that project. And then we have to apply for the funds. So they're going to be there, but it's more of a future. They're not available at this time.
Well, yeah, because it's mainly for the effluent pump. If you look at read
Has
the
to pay for
article,
the meter.
Efflu-
Yep, has to pay for the effluent
Yeah.
meter.
any
I&I.
well, very
related
light on the
engineering.
it's mostly NIPD's permit compliancy at the plant or out in the field too. So
Well, it's to help fund the wastewater treatment plant repairs
right,
and or the collection systems. And it's included but not limited to meters, I&I, and engineering.
that's correct. Yeah, because that was the one we switched. It's been switched
from the
twice,
digester. Yeah.
right?
So I think we need to cost out and get the affluent meter done.
It's,
And then
that's
we'll
gonna
know
be
what's
done,
left.
the fluent meter is scheduled for 4 to 5 weeks away.
Okay. So once that's paid for, or at least we can identify the cost, we have to apply for ARPA funds for the digester boiler. And when we get those back, what's remaining after the meter is what we can use for I&I and maybe for your manhole work and things of that nature.
Right, well, the manhole work would be out of the general budget,
Well, you told me it was coming from the I&I.
I general budget. So we have a line
Okay.
item for that. So there's not gonna be much left over, like I told you.
Well, there should be if we're getting refunds from ARPA.
Well, we procured the 315 for ARPA already,
Yeah,
but don't forget, we talked about at the last meeting, the gas piping. We
Right.
earmarked originally 2, so and it's most likely gonna be 315. That quote should be in this week from Hallam.
good.
So, and then the project will start back up,
Okay.
and then
So
we have to
I
procure the ARPA funds.
Yeah, it's going to be important that we map out these costs and what accounts they're coming from so that we don't spend our money twice or spend
Well,
the
that's what
wrong
we're
ones.
doing right now. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So just like I said with you in the meeting, that affluent meter is gonna be set up on the cascade for now. And then we're looking for a permanent tank solution where it's in a tank. So that's all gonna be part of the process. So it'll meet our compliancy now, and then it'll be permanent. So all we're paying for is the tank, and they can transfer all the mechanicals and the affluent meter into the tank.
Dave, do
So,
you have to do any work to that channel?
though that's the tank, that's what I'm referring to, the tank. So they'll originally, so we can meet our compliancy, they'll set it, the company that's gonna do it will set it up on what we have there now, get it up and running, get it in the system, SCADA. And then what we'll do is we'll look at that channel, because if you remember the EPA, we have to have a different channel system on the back end.
That's what I was wondering. That's why.
Right, and then once that tank goes, then the affluent meter will be over to that. So originally it's around 20 something for the affluent meter, but then you're gonna add the tank and everything, so that's gonna be between 40 and 60 for that. Then the affluent meter carried over into that, and then we're done with that.
Can I ask a real stupid question? If I'm at the gate and I'm looking down that channel out to French's Stream,
Yeah,
there's another side channel that comes in on the right, correct?
yeah, that's open drainage coming from Beach Street.
Right, that won't be part of the system. That'll bypass
No.
this, correct?
Yeah, so your tank would be over on our property before.
Okay, that's what I was just trying to get in my head. Okay.
So it would be between the cascade and where the road is that goes around the back.
Okay,
Yeah,
Dave, do you have quotes on this work?
which work?
The meter and the tank, everything you just said?
Yeah, so the tank has to be like engineered, but the other ones, we took 3 quotes. We have that at the office. And then we went with the lowest bidder on the affluent meter.
So you have a quote for the meter.
Quote, it's a sign, they're starting in 5 weeks. Yeah,
You have an order for the meter. Okay.
right.
And you have a quote on the tank?
Where that has to be designed.
So we need a quote on tank installation and engineering.
Tank design and engineering first, and then quote on the install for the tank in the channel. So the tank will be over the channel. So you literally, what you would do is you would open up, the top of it would be a walk-in into the tank. And then if there will be a channel in there, if you have to do any work. And then the affluent meter will be installed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we haven't started the proposal process on that tank.
On the engineering for the tank?
Either
No,
way.
because we started looking for it, but it has to be engineered on the inverts of where that channel is, so. It's almost gonna be like a doghouse. So they'll come in, set that over the new pipe exiting, so, and then we'll have to divert it during the work, so. We'd like to try to get it done relatively quick while it's dry out. So it'd be easy to do.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it's really important that we get this meter installed and up and running, including the
The
tank.
meter is first and foremost. That's why we're moving with that first.
That's a requirement. We have to.
Right. So we need, that's why it's gonna be set up, and keep in mind, what we think is temporary, it's permanent in most plants, just like this. But we're looking to be a little proactive with the EPA at this point and, you know, do a little overkill on this at this point, so.
Well, you gonna build
Okay.
a house on top of this?
It's
Dave?
essentially, they'll put a new channel in, a new pipe in, drop the tank over, they'll pour a concrete bottom, and they'll have like a working hatch that's, so you can access it, and then and then when whatever they update the plant, this is already a permanent solution we're not redoing this over, it's already there.
It's gonna be like a manhole, right?
Exactly, like a big walk-in tank, you know, like a big access chamber, so you can put anything down there that we needed to, so easy access. It'll be a diverter on it, so if they had to, you know, divert the channel like Chuck made reference to, you can. So they'll in that area. So
The tank is being proactive with the EPA. That's above and beyond.
very much so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So run that by me again. The effluent meter you said was 25.
Roughly 25, and then once you add so we already have a guy that does the SCADA system, so Rick's comfortable with the guy that does the install, so we'll have our installer do the SCADA, hook it up, and then transfer into our mechanicals that are already down there. There's some updates to the
Yep.
electric over there, and then
Is
And
that
then-
all extra cost? Or
no,
is
it's
that,
already included
that's
into
part
that
of it.
cost. So only thing that's
okay,
extra is the SCADA system to hook it up to the plant.
how much do we think that's gonna be?
And it won't be much. We could probably roll that into some of the Violi's operating cost with the SCADA. So
Mhm.
it's really for them. So
So
it might not cost us too much.
wild guess,
1,000 to 2,000.
perfect, okay.
That's if we run into, you know, maybe something electrically has to be done, or, you know, so.
Mhm, mhm.
You
And
know, all
then
this is hardwired in, so.
guesstimate for the tank?
It's hard to say. I mean, the engineering, I would think for something like that's 1 to 2 there. The tank cost is probably, I mean, it could be upwards, 20 to 40 for that. So I'd like to go a
Okay.
little, think it's gonna be a little higher at that point. The back end of the channel, while you divert it, you might as well update the invert pipe that's going out, because that's probably the original RCP pipe leaving the
That's a
plant,
good idea because that probably is.
right? So we can do that. And then, so that's all brand new on the backside of the plant, everything exiting, and that it'll already be done.
And that's
So-
part of your 20 to 40 estimate?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I would go high on it with everything right now, because you want to carry at least, it used to be a 10% contingency, but I'd almost say 20 to 25% now. Everything's overpriced.
Is there any work
Cost
that has
of
to be done on
cost
the
of
cascade?
materials are high, and dealing with old equipment, you just never know what's gonna happen.
Right, you're better off updating while we have the funding right now for that, so.
And you've got it opened, yep.
What
Right.
about the cascade, Dave? Do they got to work on that?
They said they don't have to do anything for that for right now, so it would be from the cascade out to the plant would be all updated, so. And then, like I said, I mean, at least if the cascade, I mean, you lose a little precip there, you know, so it's not too bad. It's old, but, I mean, at some point, you know, some plants still have that in their design, like, so. But everything from the cascade out to the stream would be updated at that point.
Joe said, Sherry?
I am. Do we know where this money's coming from?
Okay, with that, I just want to add one thing. I want to just summarize a couple of things. We're gonna get the quotes for the scope. We're gonna meet with Veolia via Zoom on the 11th. Dave, can you give them or supply Mike a list of projects, all the projects we got going, maybe dates or anything you think would be pertinent? And
Yeah.
one other key thing to Dan and Sherry. I plan on listening to that shingle mill meeting tonight. Now, if either one of you are on, that's considered a quorum. So we cannot answer any questions regarding sewer at that. It's a violation of open meeting law. I'm not sure what time that is or whatever, but just in case you're going to be logging in to watch that, keep that in mind. With that, I'll take a motion to end the meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second,
all in favor, Mr. DeRoss,
Yes,
Ms. Valley,
yes.
and Mr. Hashion's a yes. So I will get out, as soon as I hear from Mike on a date, I'll get out a agenda and that info for the meeting on the 11th. Sherry, if anything changes in your vacation plan, vacation's number one. Take it.
Yeah.
Don't,
Thank you.
if anything comes up, we can always reschedule this. With that, thank you very much, people.
Thank
I will
you.
catch you guys later on.
Yep.
Thanks.